Because while we were all distracted by other Hollywood drama, she literally said "I do" to Benny Blanco, and nobody saw it coming. I'm talking about a September 27th ceremony in Santa Barbara that was so under the radar, it makes Taylor Swift's security look casual. But here's the thing that's got me absolutely shook. The details of how this whole relationship unfolded are way more fascinating than anyone realizes. And I've got the inside scoop on why this wedding proves Selena just played the long game better than anyone in Hollywood. You think you know this story? Trust me, you don't know the half of it, because what happened behind the scenes will literally change how you see celebrity relationships forever. So picture this. It's December, Selena's having what looks like the most basic picnic ever, complete with a wicker basket and freaking Taco Bell, when suddenly her entire world changes. Now I know what you're thinking, Taco Bell at a proposal, but wait until you hear why this choice was actually genius, because it reveals something about Benny that no other celebrity boyfriend has ever done for Selena. The man literally got down on one knee next to fast food and somehow made it the most romantic thing ever. How? Well, that's where this story gets really interesting, because this wasn't just some random proposal. This was calculated, deliberate, and honestly, kind of brilliant when you understand the psychology behind it. Here's what nobody's talking about, though. Selena announced this engagement with a simple Instagram post, just her admiring that diamond ring with the caption, "Forever begins now." Seems normal, right? Wrong, because if you look at her previous relationships, she's never, and I mean never, been this confident about forever with anyone. Not with Justin, not with The Weeknd, not with anyone. But with Benny, she's out here declaring forever like she's already seen the ending of their love story. And honestly, after digging into their relationship timeline, I think I know why she's so sure this time. But let's rewind, because the way these two got together is actually insane. We're talking about 2023. Selena's coming off years of very public, very messy relationships, and suddenly she's dating a music producer who most people had never even heard of. I remember when the news first broke, everyone was like, "Benny who?" But here's the plot twist. This guy has been quietly building one of the most successful careers in music, working with literally everyone from Ed Sheeran to Juice WRLD. The man's got Grammy nominations, he's produced chart toppers, and he's been flying completely under the radar while making millions. Smart move, Selena. Now, here's where it gets really good. Benny told Rolling Stone in March that Selena plans a new wedding every single day in her head. Every day! Can you imagine being so excited about marrying someone that you can't stop redesigning your wedding? But wait, there's more to this story, because when Selena talked to Zane Lowe about their relationship, she said something that literally gave me chills. She said it's the safest she's ever felt, and that he understands the world she lives in. Y'all, this is huge, because Selena's world is absolutely insane. Paparazzi, social media scrutiny, millions of fans analyzing every move. Finding someone who gets that without being threatened by it, that's rare. But I need to tell you about the Howard Stern interview, because Benny said something that proves this man is absolutely head over heels. He looked Howard dead in the eye and said, "When I look at her, I'm always just like, I don't know a world where it could be better than this." Like, excuse me? This isn't some scripted PR answer. This is a man who genuinely cannot imagine his life getting any better than it already is with Selena. That's the kind of love people write songs about. And honestly, knowing Benny's track record, he probably will write songs about it. So fast forward to September 27th, Santa Barbara, California, wedding day. Now, I've been to my fair share of celebrity weddings, and let me tell you, they're usually over-the-top productions with hundreds of guests, multiple outfit changes, and enough security to protect a small country. But Selena and Benny, they said, nope, we're doing this our way. An intimate ceremony that actually focused on, wait for it, getting married. Revolutionary concept, I know, but in Hollywood terms, this was basically rebellion. Here's what's really interesting, though. The timing of this wedding tells us everything about how serious they are. September weddings are notoriously difficult to plan, especially in California, where venue availability is crazy competitive. But they made it happen in less than a year from engagement to I do. That's not impulsive, that's decisive. These two knew what they wanted and didn't waste time playing games or dragging things out for publicity. And can we talk about how different this relationship rollout has been compared to Selena's past? Remember the Justin years? Every date, every argument, every reconciliation was front-page news. The Weekend era? Same thing. Constant paparazzi shots and speculation. But with Benny, they've managed to keep things relatively private while still sharing enough to let fans know they're happy. That's strategic, and it shows maturity from both of them. But here's the part that really gets me. Benny has expressed wanting to start a family with Selena. Now, I know what you're thinking. Lots of couples talk about kids, but coming from a music producer who could literally have anyone and choosing Selena not just for who she is publicly, but for the mother he envisions her being, that's deep. That's the kind of love that looks past fame and fortune and sees the actual person underneath all the glitz and glamour. Speaking of seeing the real person, let's talk about what Selena meant when she said Benny respects her. In Hollywood, respect can be hard to come by, especially for women who've been in the spotlight as long as Selena has. Everyone thinks they know her story, everyone has opinions about her choices, but Benny came in and said, "I see you for who you actually are, not who the world thinks you are." That's powerful, and honestly, it explains why she was ready to marry this man so quickly. Now, I have to address the elephant in the room, the haters, because you know there are people out there saying this relationship moved too fast or questioning whether it's real love or just good timing. But let me break down why those critics are dead wrong. First, Selena and Benny knew each other professionally before they started dating, so this wasn't some whirlwind romance with a stranger. Second, both of them are established in their careers, so nobody is using anybody for fame or money. And third, the way they talk about each other in interviews shows a level of emotional maturity that honestly makes me believe in love again. But what really convinced me this is the real deal? The Taco Bell proposal. I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. Selena could have had any fancy restaurant, any exotic location, any over-the-top romantic gesture money can buy. Instead, Benny chose something casual, something real, something that said, "I love you exactly as you are, no fancy packaging required." That's not just romantic, that's revolutionary in a world where everything is performed for social media. And let's be real about the wedding location choice, Santa Barbara. Not Malibu, not Beverly Hills, not some exclusive resort in Italy. Santa Barbara is beautiful, but it's also understated, classy without being flashy. It's the kind of place where you go to actually get married, not to throw a party that happens to include a wedding ceremony. This choice tells us everything about their priorities and honestly makes me respect them both even more. Here's something else that's fascinating. The social media rollout of their relationship has been perfectly executed. Not too much, not too little, just enough to keep fans happy without turning their love story into a reality show. Selena has learned from past relationships that oversharing can be toxic, and Benny is naturally private anyway, so together they found this sweet spot where they can be authentic without being exploitative. But can we talk about the timing of this whole relationship from a career perspective? Selena is at the peak of her acting career with Only Murders in the Building, her makeup line is hugely successful, and she's been focusing on mental health advocacy. Meanwhile, Benny's having his biggest year ever as a producer. They're both winning individually, which means they're choosing each other from a place of strength, not need. That's rare in Hollywood relationships. And speaking of Only Murders in the Building, I love that Benny gets Selena's career without trying to overshadow it. He's successful in his own right, so he doesn't need to ride her coattails or compete with her success. That dynamic of mutual respect and individual achievement is probably why their relationship feels so stable compared to our past ones. Now, let's talk about what this wedding means for both of their futures. For Selena, this feels like the final chapter of her very public journey through love and heartbreak. She's found someone who sees her completely and loves her anyway. For Benny, this is his introduction to a level of fame he's never experienced. But he seems ready for it. The fact that he proposed knowing full well what marrying Selena Gomez would mean for his privacy shows he's all in. Here's what I think is going to happen next. I predict we're going to see Selena and Benny become one of those power couples who actually work together professionally. He's a producer, she's a singer. The collaboration potential is endless. But more than that, I think we're going to see them use their combined platform for good, probably focusing on mental health and music education based on their individual passions. But what really makes me emotional about this whole story is how it proves that sometimes the best love stories aren't the most dramatic ones. Selena spent years in relationships that were constantly making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Now she's married to someone who makes headlines for making her happy. That's growth, that's healing, and honestly, that's beautiful.
The fact that Benny can look at Selena with all her fame, all her baggage, all her complications, and say he can't imagine a better world than the one where they're together, that's not just love, that's acceptance at the deepest level. And for someone like Selena, who's been judged and criticized and analyzed by millions of people, finding someone who just accepts her completely must feel like the ultimate safe harbor. So when people ask me if I think this marriage will last, here's what I tell them. Look at how they got together.